November the 10th, 2015 at 7 o'clock is called to order. This meeting was called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. Notices of this meeting were sent to the Courier News and the Star Ledger on January 6, 2015. In addition, copies of notices were posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, on the Raritan Borough website, and filed in the office of the Borough Clerk. Notices on the bulletin board have remained continuously posted. Proper notice having been given, the Borough Clerk is directed to include this statement in the minutes of this meeting. Roll call, please, Dan.
Councilwoman Kara.
Here.
Councilman Fooey.
Here.
Councilwoman Gara.
Here.
Councilman Geraldi.
Here.
Council President LaBelle.
Here.
Councilman Sebelia.
Here.
All right, please stand for the invocation of the flag salute led by Councilman Steve.
Bless us as we gather for this meeting. Guide our minds and hearts so that we will work for the good of the community and help all of our people. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first item that we have on the agenda this evening is a proclamation for Veterans Day. Before I read that, I would like to wish the Marine Corps a happy 240th birthday. I had the pleasure of attending my very first Marine Corps birthday ball on Saturday night. It was quite interesting, especially when they rolled the cake in and they cut it with this gigantic sword. Anyway, Veterans Day, and any of you in the audience are veterans, thank you very much for your service. Whereas the 11th of November 1918 marked the end of the war to end all wars and the cessation of the most destructive, sanguinary, and far-reaching war in human annals, and the resumption by the people of the United States of peaceful relations with other nations, which we hope may never again be severed. And whereas it is fitting that the recurring anniversary of this date should be commemorated with thanksgiving and prayer and exercises designed to perpetuate peace through goodwill and mutual understanding between nations. Whereas on June 1st, 1954, Congress declared that Armistice Day should be Veterans Day to honor all those who had served in all wars to preserve world peace, and on October 8th, 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower issued the first Veterans Day proclamation. And whereas to protect the nation they love, our veterans stepped forward when America needed them most. In conflicts around the world, their sacrifice and resolve helped destroy the enemies of freedom and saved millions from oppression. In answering history's call with honor, decency, and resolve, our veterans have shown the power of liberty and earned the respect and admiration of a grateful nation. And whereas all of America's veterans have placed our nation's security before their own lives, creating a debt that we can never fully repay, our veterans represent the best of America and deserve the best America can give them. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Joanne Liptak, Mayor of the Borough of Raritan, County of Somerset, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2015 as Veterans Day, and urge all citizens of Raritan Borough to recognize the valor and sacrifice of our veterans through ceremonies and prayers.
Here, here.
So thank you for your service, Greg, thank you for your service. Appreciate it. All right, we've come to the first portion of public comment. Anyone wishing to be heard, please step to the microphone and identify yourself. And there'll be a 5-minute time limit as per section 29-1 of the Code of the Borough of Raritan.
Adele Getch, 6 Media Street. Being I live so close to where the proposed apartments are going to be, but yet I don't seem to, I must be far enough away that I don't get any notice of meetings. I see the big signs out there for the public meetings, but I also notice that they keep getting pushed back.
Well, that's a different meeting.
That's a different.
That's a different.
That's not-
Okay.
Yeah, that was. Well, why don't you speak to that?
Well,
Because that
I
was
just
yours.
want to know like what the status of the apartments are
The
from someone.
The status of the apartments is this. They appeared before the planning board at the last meeting, and the application was heard starting at about 8:30. And it went until 10:30 or 11 o'clock when we cut it off. They're coming back on the 30th of November to continue the application. So there certainly is no reason why you couldn't. It's a Monday night. It's an unusual night to have the planning board. There's certainly no reason why you couldn't come and listen to the application.
And the status at this point then is just an application?
That's correct. That is correct.
Okay, thank
You
you.
have concerns about that, or?
Some, I mean, we have apartments in Raritan that already aren't rented. You're adding more apartments. I know it's not a floodplain, I've lived there all my life, I know that area isn't. But
But
No, but it's
just
But if
keep it-
people park under, I mean, it's just certain things, like if you're parking underground,
Just so you know, there's public comments
Yeah.
during the planning board meetings, just as there are in these.
okay,
So prior to a vote, or any concerns after each professional speaks, they allow the public to come forward and question each
Question.
professional. So after someone speaks, you can get up and question
Okay.
that particular
okay.
professional about that particular thing.
So
So you
then
can speak several
I
times
won't
throughout the
do
night.
like my individual concerns, but, because there are some, and that's also, like, is there an in and out of there,
But
does the
they're,
road change?
they're the people that, they're traffic person, if they bring one, that's the
That's
person
what
who
they-
needs to address the
Exactly.
questions.
Okay, I
to.
was wondering status, because I'm
Right.
seeing a picture of it over there, and.
You might have multiple questions, which each one of your questions might need to be addressed to
By
a
someone
different
else.
professional. So you have multiple times to come up and speak.
And that's the
Please,
30th.
yeah.
Correct.
The proposal for apartments is a conditional use in that zone. The conditional use requirements were approved as an amended ordinance by this mayor and council. What they submit is fully compliant, there are no variances required for this. It's a conforming site plan. So you're welcome to see the plans, they're available in Lou's office, the meeting's on
Well,
the 30th, if you have any questions.
I
give
just
me a
want,
call.
it would be easier for me to ask a question than look at a plan and really,
You have to understand the plan before you ask the questions, and I can go over with it.
I think this, I proposed to freeholders that they buy land down there.
Well, that was already proposed to the freeholders.
Well, we spoke to the freeholders tonight, Andy, myself, and Chuck. And we proposed that they look at purchasing the property and make it a park, open space, green space.
The whole thing.
And although, of course, they couldn't answer it first night around, but they certainly said that they were interested in the topic and they would like to look at it. So just to let everybody know, there's a plan A and there might be a plan B in the works. And I guess everybody has to decide whether they'd rather have apartments or a park. So it looks like both may be viable. If it's a quality of life thing, I think people should look at it. So just to let you know, they are at least tentatively interested in the mix, just to let you know.
To tell you the truth, we've been working for years now with the county on using open space monies.
I had assumed that at one time that was all supposed to be a greenway, that's what I had thought.
No,
Let me finish
Go ahead,
here.
go ahead.
So after we had that redevelopment summit at Duke Island, at Duke Estates, we hooked up with the county, Stephanie and I and Stan, and we proposed that we put in quite a bit of money every year to open space. And if you look at the riverfront and the redevelopment project that we've been working on for 6 years, the B&B property down there, or Total Automotive, which everybody knows because that was such a headache, is right in the target zone. If you put a bullseye over the whole redevelopment project, that is right in the center of it. So with the greenway coming in from Somerville 206 behind that, and if the county would purchase that property, turn that into parkland, which they've done a study on already. They've done environmental work, and there's a couple of issues that apparently the landlord needs to monitor. Not so much that there's issues with DEP, but there's issues with monitoring now that it's been cleared up. So that's in the process with the county, and they're working with, trying to push the process along, but they're working with the property owner there, and hopefully that would be parkland all the way up to this piece of property from the golf course. And then, you know, we had proposed maybe a bathroom at the golf range with air filling stations and things like that. So that, and then the county just put in another application for the Greenway extension, to go from the golf range all the way down to hopefully meet up with the other Greenway parks.
And to further that, this project has already gone before the county as well. The county did like this project.
And they also,
The county at the planning board, the county was very much in favor of this program. They actually helped design, and going behind all of this is the Greenway, is the Somerset County Greenway, goes completely behind this entire project. And so the county is on board with this program, with this project. So this has already been approved by the county has seen this, they liked this. So this, the developers have met with the county, so.
Well, just to let you know
There
though.
is, this too has already been brought forward, and this has been part of our,
this has been in the works for a while.
our plan that has been going forward.
Okay, but the gist of the conversation with the freeholders was all park space in Greenway. And not to say that that isn't gonna happen or is gonna happen, I have no idea. But it was a little different take than what Stephanie's telling us right now. And it was Parkway and Greenway all the way from one end to the other.
It's gonna be a nice big, this will be a nice chunk of tax revenue. Parks could be nothing. We are getting some revenue from the owners of United Dye. So this is another benefit from it, and it's gonna be a very nice place
And
down
also,
there.
this is compliant with Raritan Borough's master plan. So that's also.
So either way, but there are things in the works, and there's been stuff in the works for years now with open space, especially we want to recoup some of our investments in open space, because we just don't have it. Now, it seems like it's always going out to Hillsborough and Franklin and everywhere else where we're not gonna drive 25, 35 minutes to use a park.
And we've missed out on the open space tax.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else have any other questions? All right, seeing no one, I'll close the first portion of public comment. All right, moving on, engineers report, Mr. Schreck.
Thank you, Mayor. Relatively light the last couple of weeks, there's not much construction going on, but Orlando Drive Phase 3, we're still working with County Parks closely on the Green Acres diversion to transfer the ownership of the 5 acres south of Orlando Drive. The state wants excessive paperwork, but we're looking for old files, and
So what else is new?
it's working, but Tom Bacino's doing the bulk of the work, so we're working closely with the county. Also, Duke Farms has agreed to vacate the property that approaches onto Orlando Drive and Thompson Street, and we have to get paperwork together for that, so we'll be seeing that shortly. Thompson Street, you well know, they're working on the water main, and that'll continue. I expect they'll finish by the end of the year, then springtime to be resurfacing the.
I have a couple questions for you on that. As they were working on the road, it was necessary, when they made the connections, it was necessary to jackhammer up large chunks of sidewalk. They've replaced it with blacktop. Is that going to be replaced eventually?
That's normal procedure, and we really don't want to be doing concrete work.
No, not now, but it's going to be
Yeah.
replaced. The other thing also is that the brick pavers along Thompson Street on both sides are in absolutely terrible, terrible condition. There's one section that they weren't laid properly to begin with, and the grass has come up completely between the pavers, so you can't even see them. They're starting to sink in some places, so you might want to think about either taking them up and putting concrete down, or fixing them somehow, because somebody's going to fall in them one of these days.
And propose costs for that for next year's budget.
Yeah.
I think we wanted to have those pavers, so, the idea.
But the thing is, Dan, that Anderson Street was done consistently, all the way down. Thompson Street was done in chunks. And you've got pavers in one spot, and then you've got sidewalk, concrete slabs for a few feet, and then you've got pavers again, and then you've got concrete all the way down. It's not consistent. And maybe that's the reason that they're becoming unstable.
I think the ones on Main Street too have concrete underneath the
Well,
base. And I don't
the
think
the
those do.
thing I was telling Councilman Fooey before too, is I watched a woman, an older woman, walk on Somerset Street the other day and purposely go over to the edge where the sidewalk is nearest the curb, because that was the most stable spot for her to walk, because those pavers are getting very uneven, and they're becoming very slippery because there's moss growing in between them now. And they're curved, they're not flat like the ones on Thompson Street. So it's food for thought.
Another unforeseen circumstance that's arising from this, just to let everybody know, is they're putting in new hydrants.
Yeah.
And the new hydrants are 5-inch hydrants. We have 4-inch hydrants and 6-inch hydrants. So we're gonna need, the fire department's gonna need to be purchasing 5-inch adapters. So
Didn't they replace them? Did they take them out and put new ones in?
they are, the new ones are the 5-inch
All right.
connectors. And I think that is gonna eventually become a standard.
It is standard, it's called the stores adapter, and all fire departments have those, so if you
Now,
don't have it, you
Chief?
should have it.
Or Captain, am I wrong in that, or?
They are gonna adapt the hydrants to our current connection. They must adapt according to their supervisors, so
So they're gonna bring it down to 4 inches?
5.25 is our size, they were installing 6-inch.
Okay.
So they're gonna put our heads, our old heads on the new pipe.
Okay.
That's good.
So there will be no then additional, okay.
But I have to tell you that the company that the water company hired did an outstanding job. You never knew they were there.
No, he's been with them for a while.
Yeah, they were excellent.
They're the ones that did Orlando Drive and.
Once they
7th
cleaned up the
Street,
mess.
Church Street.
I mean, they made a mess during the day, but they cleaned up before they left. You didn't know they were there. It was amazing.
All right, Stonebridge and Raritan were working on their bond release. We had some items that were going through on the punch list, and meeting out there on Friday to try to do a final list, and you should see the request for the bond release later this year. Expect we may have a supplemental bond put in because they don't have completed their pedestrian access from their site all the way to the train station. There's an easement required from New Jersey Transit. They're working on it, it's in the paperwork, but I don't think they'll be able to close that out before the bond renewal comes up, so we'll do a subsequent bond for that. And Sherman Avenue improvements, we prepared the DOT overlay application, $450,000, I believe, that application was submitted on October 20th.
And don't forget the gas lines on, for those 4 houses on Sherman Avenue.
Did you want to mention something about the sewage and the authority in that report? I don't know if anybody looked at the sewage report this month that came out. The first quarter, our numbers were normal, and then the second and third quarter, with the dry summer and everything like that, our numbers were drastically low on I&I, or sewage usage.
It's good.
So it's very
I
good.
think we could probably freeze next year. and
Well,
still have a good-
No, that totally proves the case that our sewers are leaking I&I.
That's what I was-
That totally proves it.
I didn't say it was good because I'm talking about numbers, I'm talking
Yeah.
about budget numbers, the process. They're good, they're very favorable to us.
For the
Okay,
budget
well,
and
we're below-
sustaining the budget,
In some
yeah.
cases, we were below our short minimum just because the ground was dry.
Right, oh yeah, there's no doubt the dryness, you know.
But I think it definitely proves the point that we need to continue to invest in
Yes,
the
oh
sewage
yeah,
and
no,
I&I.
in no way should the favorable numbers discourage us from capital investments in sewage. But I'm just saying that for budgetary purposes, it's very positive.
We'll monitor them and find out where the problems are, which we want to.
Well, yeah, today we were just given authorization to proceed with the CDBG funding we have for some of the work in the CDBG area, and that's for manhole rehabilitation, so we'll start that contract shortly.
All right, anything else any other questions for the engineer?
No, but Mayor, before we move on, I'd like to go back. I'm not trying to start an argument, but I have a concern here. I'd like to know who authorized 2 council members to go before the freeholders and make a proposal for something that this council.
There was no
Excuse
proposal,
me.
Stephanie, we just
Excuse
threw out
me,
an
but-
idea, that's all we did.
Excuse me,
There's no proposal.
but this town and this council has spent 6 years and a lot of money.
So that makes it right?
Excuse me, I'm talking to the mayor. We've spent a lot of time and money. The planning board is in the middle of a hearing going on something that is in the middle of our master plan. No other council members have ever done anything without a committee or getting a vote on. I don't know where any two council members can just go forward before a county government body to make a proposal like that, to make a suggestion, especially when our planning board's in the middle of a hearing for property.
I know where you're coming from. But there's nothing that prevents any council person from going and speaking to a freeholder or anybody else for that matter, whether it's a formal proposal or not. I'm going to assume at this point that it was an informal proposal.
Okay.
But
I think I made that plain, Mayor, that it wasn't a formal proposal. It was just a discussion.
My only concern is because there is an application for that property being heard right now.
We can have a discussion with the freeholder, Stephanie, that's all we had.
And I'm just stating that there happens to be an application being heard on
We
that property
fully
right
understand
now.
that, yes.
And that those individuals have already gone before the county, so
Fully understand
there is a
that also.
concern for that as well.
You know, actually, I have another question for the borough engineer. Where are we on the electric at the library?
It's in design, we're waiting for information back from PSC&G that took a while. I said the consultant has that information now, I expect the plan this week or so.
'Cause we're in an emergency
I don't
mode
know
on
if
this,
we are
aren't
in an
I don't-
emergency situation.
we? It is, right?
I don't believe it's an emergency, but it's something that has to be corrected. But it's an old system that has to be updated.
I think it is an emergency situation where we have wires
Yeah, we don't want-
welding themselves together, you know, and
Are they?
yes,
You know that for a fact?
they had wires that
I
were,
thought there were some grounding issues out there
There
that
were
have to
some
be
there
corrected.
were grounding issues, that's what it
were
was.
wires that actually melted and shorted out.
There was a wire that fused on one of the circulation pumps, I believe, and that was corrected, and that may have been installed properly.
Didn't an electrician check it out by now?
The county came to check it out, and at that point, the county looked at the box and said they weren't going to open it, because if they opened it, it would mean shutting the library down, because at that point, they would have to replace everything. But that's what the money that you authorized for is going to.
But it is being
It's-
expedited.
Yes, it is, yes,
That's what the 5,000 is.
right.
Well, I understand that, but I just haven't heard anything the last meeting.
The next item on the work session is the final library work, the New Jersey State Historic Grant. Dan, that's,
Yes, we're trying to spend the balance we have from a very large grant we received in 2008 from the state. Concrete ramp has to be repaired and a new railing system. I was hoping we could award it tonight. The quote that we got out of two people we solicited quotes from was way over budget. So I'm going to meet, or going to talk with two architects on Thursday. The options we have, try to get another quote that would be under the amount of the grant balance, or number two would be to modify the scope of the project by either eliminating the railing system or the concrete.
well, I think you need to speak with Ron Rispoli on that, and Mary Jane at the same time.
How close were they?
Not close to
No,
all,
not
like
close.
$20,000 more.
Yeah, it was really surprising. It doesn't.
And I, to be telling the truth, I don't understand why that, if indeed that ramp needs to be replaced, it looks fairly good, but
Well, maybe
we'll
they
see.
can just
We'll see.
put a railing system and,
Maybe
well, I
we'll
will leave the
see how
ramp
it's-
alone, I don't know. And maybe Stan Thursday when we have this discussion, if you wanted to do a three-way with me, I don't know. But I was hoping, because,
That didn't sound
Gary Garwacki got into it in trouble using that language too in his commentary. But anyway, if we can have a discussion and try to, resolve what we want to do, so we can make the award perhaps on November 24th. I can't be pushing it because the state has set a deadline. They've extended this grant any number of times. So working as hard as we can. We'll definitely have something on the 24th.
Now, that reminds me of another thing, it's the firehouse on Anderson Street here. We have some grant money
Right.
in that.
Right.
Now, I don't know what the scope of the definition of that grant was, but the outside of that building, especially on the driveway side, it's the stucco or whatever it
The
is.
brick is
I think it was really for the inside, I
It's the
don't think
inside.
it was from the outside.
Is it?
To tell you the truth.
It's just old brick, that's what it is.
Yeah.
No, it's not, it's a Garden State brick base, it's peeling off.
I mean-
Water's
Really?
behind it.
When did they do that?
Before
40
before
years
my
ago,
time.
yeah.
It's
But
just,
that-
it's peeling off.
Now it actually looks like there's moisture coming down the side of that building, and the chief could probably attest to, but I know that money is there, and we're looking for something.
But I think it's for the
I think it's for the
interior, very
interior.
clearly for
Yeah, it's for the
setting up the
interior.
bathrooms upstairs, maybe a cavity pit for the elevator, not really the elevator.
But how much money is
And
left?
also doing some of the structures with, I don't remember, but it's,
It's not much, is what I'm saying, that,
but we're not gonna be able to get more until we do the basics.
well, and that's another thing, is that I've been asking about that project for years now, on trying to do something over there at the firehouse, and before that money expires, we need to
But that-
remember that.
That grant is for the inside, the interior of the
Why
firehouse.
hasn't anything interior been done over there for years? What is the holdup on that?
The work, getting the architect to do the work, and it's a limited scope, the person who had done a lot of work,
We were gonna talk
and
to
Stan
the,
knows, left the
Oh,
firm.
right.
we were gonna talk to her, right? 'Cause
Personnel,
she's-
I think that was a big factor.
But that, before that expires, I just wanna
I
remind
understand.
everybody that there's money there that needs to be.
I wanna be honest with you, I wanted to get rid of the library done, so I could push it back, because we've spent a lot on the library.
Yes, we have.
And I think after this is spent, we've gotta I will put the focus on 16 Anderson Street.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, the next two items are Councilman Fooey's. One is the update on the televising and the calendar, so why don't you take both of those?
Well, if you're watching this meeting at home, you know that the audio should be fine. Cablevision came in and determined that the problem was at their end, it wasn't at our transmitter here. So we should be good. I'd also like to point out, people say, geez, I couldn't hear it, I couldn't hear it. Whenever you transmit a video signal, whether it's a small town like Raritan or a big network, there's always a potential of a problem. Look at the first game of the World Series, perfect example, look what happened. Big network, they had a problem. It's always, the potential is always there. So we should be good. Now, as far as Verizon goes, I was disappointed that they hadn't been working. I was under the impression they've been working on getting us a connection all this time, and they haven't been. So I've been assured now that they're a top priority. They said originally it might take 6 to 8 weeks, but I told them what I'd like to do is, for our reorganization meeting, I'd like to be able to broadcast the meeting to the entire town, not just Cablevision customers, Optimum customers. So hopefully they'll have us a connection by then, and the whole town will be able to watch the reorg meeting. I think we should televise the reorg meeting because it is a council meeting, not a regular council meeting, but still we meet, we vote on things. And last year I attended Somerville's reorganization meeting on January 1st, earlier this year, and they always televise their meeting. Now regarding the calendar, I've done some rethinking on that, and I've also had help with it too, because I'm not an expert on Microsoft Publisher, so Councilwoman Garrett's been helping me, and Bruce Dorley. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna go back to, make it a 12-month calendar. It'll come out in January. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have 90% of it done by the end of this year. And then come January, when we have our reorganization meeting, when we confirm nominations, when we vote on the committee people, everything has to be up to date. So if we wait, in other words, we'll have 90% of it done by the end of this year. Then the remaining 10% will be put in once we have everything confirmed as to who's going to be on what committee, et cetera, the phone numbers. So when the calendar goes out in January, it will be completely up to date in terms of names and numbers. It will also be up to date at that time on the website as well. I also had an idea of, once we have it done, to put it in PDF format and have it available for downloading on the borough website. So anybody could download the calendar, and you could actually update it too just as easily, and put an updated version on any time we need to. And this way, if anyone, feels inclined to have it on their, just have it on their computer, they can download the PDF file. And that's it, Mayor.
Okay, moving along, we have a number of resolutions tonight. The first one is resolution number 2015-11-117, a resolution of the Borough of Raritan, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing the award of a firehouse generator project to EnviroCon of Hackettstown, New Jersey for $51,500, and the certification of funds is attached. Is there someone who would like to make that motion?
A second?
Motion made by Mrs. Kara, second by Mrs. Garrett. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Kara,
Yes.
Councilman Fooey,
Yes.
Councilwoman Garrett,
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi,
Yes.
Council President LaBelle,
Aye.
Councilman Sebelia.
Yes.
Long time coming.
Yes, it is. The next resolution is 2015-11-118, a resolution of the Borough of Raritan, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing the execution of a subordination agreement for 27 Bluebird Way in the Borough of Raritan.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Garrett,
Second.
second by the Council President. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Kara,
Yes.
Councilman Fooey,
Yes.
Councilwoman Garrett,
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi,
Yes.
Council President LaBelle,
Aye.
Councilman Sebelia.
Yes.
And the last resolution is 2015-11-119, appointment of a firefighter, Joseph Shreve, to be a regular member of the NEPO's Company Number 2, and the accompanying information from the Chief of Police is attached as far as Mr. Shreve's background check.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Garrett,
Second.
second by Mr. Sebelia. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Kara,
Yes.
Councilman Fooey,
Yes.
Councilwoman Garrett,
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi,
Yes.
Council President LaBelle,
Aye.
Councilman Sebelia.
Yes.
Congratulations, it's always good to see new blood coming into the fire department. All right.
Actually, their numbers are pretty good now, right, Chief? What are you up to?
31 with them.
Good.
Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going.
All right, we have two purchase orders. The first one is for the police department to Lifesavers Incorporated for the Fifth Tech Lifeline AED, actually 6 of them, in the amount of 47. Oh, sorry,
17.
wrong one. Computer Management Corporation, new desktop computer for the police department, in the amount of $1,754. Certification of funds is attached to that also.
Make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Garrett, second by Mr. Fooey. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Kara,
Yes.
Councilman Fooey,
Yes.
Councilwoman Garrett,
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi,
Yes.
Council President LaBelle,
Aye.
Councilman Sebelia.
Yes.
And the next purchase order is for the Fifth Tech Lifeline AED, and 6 of them, at $799 apiece, for a total of $4,794.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by the Council President, second by Mrs. Garrett. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Kara,
Yes.
Councilman Fooey,
Yes.
Councilwoman Garrett,
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi,
Yes.
Council President LaBelle,
Aye.
Councilman Sebelia.
Yes.
And it should be noted that the defibrillators are going to be shared between the police department and the recreation department, which is good. Any correspondence?
I'd have one thing I just wanted to announce. I gave everybody on the dais an invitation to an economic development committee meet and greet that we're going to be having on December 8th at Nick's Restaurant and Pub from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And Mayor Liptak and Mayor-elect Mullen will both be there to meet the businesses, and hopefully this will get more people out and start talking, and we're sending out about 250 invitations to businesses in Raritan. So hopefully it will be a big hit and get the Economic Development Committee some new members and another jolt in the arm. So we're looking forward to that. December 8th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Everybody's welcome on the council and council-elects. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, we've covered the second.
I got one thing I'd like to say. To the Indian temple we have, the Shri swearing the Rara Mandir, I'd like to wish them a happy Diwali.
Oh, it's Diwali.
It is the Indian New Year tomorrow, so if you see someone from there, wish them a happy Diwali.
Mayor, I'd like to mention too that this Friday and Saturday, we'll be having a book sale at the library from 10 to 4 on Friday and 10 to 2 on Saturday. A lot of bargains.
In December, Stan, we have only one meeting, and it's on the 15th.
All right, we come to the second portion of public comment. Anyone wishing to be heard? All right, seeing no one, I will close the second portion of public comment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Motion made by Mrs. Garrett.
Second.
Mrs. Cooley.